G'day, battlers, and today we're jumping back in for another Go Battle League meta, this time the Sunshine Cup Great League Edition, running from, down in the bottom left there, from May 11th through May 18th, alongside the Open Ultra League. So, for those of us who are a bit more Great League inclined, this is going to be the meta for us. So, what is the Sunshine Cup? Pretty easy to understand, 1500 CP because it's Great League, and then also allowing typings of normal, fire, grass, and ground, with one single ban, that being the Charizard down there, just because Charizard, it's sort of lacking a hard counter in this meta. Swampert gets a bit close, but even then, like, Charizard is still a pretty scary mon, so it sort of makes sense that it's sort of been put aside for this one, and we'll just see where the meta develops from there. So we'll just jump straight into it, but if you haven't already, do go ahead and subscribe for future Meta Simplified action, because there are plenty more metas that are going to be coming down the line, and I will be taking a look at plenty. So with that said, we'll just jump straight in. Hiya for the thumbnail, and we've got three main groups over there, although I need to say straight away, this is definitely an oversimplification. This meta is going to be really hecky and really built on the battlefield, rather than, it's not going to be about just sort of lining up your Abomasnow against the flying type. It's going to be, there's going to be a lot going on. We'll talk about it. So, three main groups on the graphic. In the bottom right down below me, we have the Flyers with Noctowl, Pidgeot, Gligar, and Gliscor. In the bottom left, we have the Fighters or Pseudo-Fighters with Vigoroth, Obstagoon, Blaziken, Swampert, and Victini. And then right there at the top, we have Abomasnow, Galarian Sunfisk, and Miltank as the sort of anti-flyer. So this is sort of the broad picture. If you want to bring it oversimplified, it is just Noctowl, Vigoroth, Galarian Sunfisk. And I think the three of these sort of dictate why this meta is so, not complex, but so hard to properly simplify in a fair way. Because if we just focus on the Galarian Sunfisk versus Noctowl matchup, famously in the Play Pokemon circuit, Swag Tips has got his video on Noctowl's IVs, and there are a portion of Noctowl's IVs that beat Galarian Sunfisk, and there are a portion that generally lose to Galarian Sunfisk. And so, like, some Noctowls are going to win that, some Noctowls are going to lose that. Vigoroth is able to beat both Galarian Sunfisk and Noctowl, although that is entirely dependent on whether, if Noctowl has a couple of wing attacks advantage, then Noctowl's able to swing that one back in its favor. Galarian Sunfisk, if it can land that Earthquake through, maybe bait with a Rock Slide, like Galarian Sunfisk has plays out of there depending on energy and shields. And so it's a difficult meta to just easily understand and go, this is the team that's going to work. It's going to be very much about getting that switch advantage, about getting that little bit of energy, and then maybe swapping out, confusing your opponent. Like, it's going to be a hecky little meta. Now, there's other Pokemon that you can select outside of those main three, and I think the biggest one that is sort of big to use is Abomasnow in the top there. So, Abomasnow is another anti-flyer that, unlike Stunfisk, it does a little bit, I guess it does a bit better against flyers than G-Fisk does. One, because we have a lot of ground flying types, so Gligar and Gliscor running around. Galarian Sunfisk does not do as well against those ones. Gliscor especially, because it's got that Earthquake potential. And so Abomasnow is sort of, you're relying on that a little bit more for that ice damage that beats all four of those flyers. Although again, you have to be a bit scared of the flying type damage coming back towards you, because if that Noctowl has a bit of energy, Sky Attacks are going to be coming and you're going to be out, pretty quick and smart. So it's going to be another little weird one, but Miltank is another option. I think it's easily like third out of three that I've got on the graphic at least. You've got that rollout, you've got Body Slam for that really spammy neutral damage against the entire meta. And then as a secondary charge move, I think Ice Beam is the way to go, as opposed to like Thunderbolt or something, just because Ice Beam, you can take out all four flyers, so the Pidgeot, the Noctowl, the Gligar, and the Gliscor if you can land it there. It does really nicely. The other ones just don't seem to do as well. I think it's the easy pick for the best secondary charge move for Miltank. But Miltank isn't as bulky as you sort of want it to be ideally. Like, in my head, I have this image that Miltank is just this bulk fiend. I think just because it's sort of like blubbery, but in reality, it's not that bulky. So it's not, it's not some meta dominating monster. There's a reason that Lickitung is really good. Miltank doesn't see that same success. Lickitung actually has real bulk, and Lickitung is available in this meta, but it doesn't really have anything to hit. And I think it is going to be used on people's teams. Like, I reckon there's going to be YouTube videos that have Lickitung on the team. Just sort of an energy soak sort of Pokemon. But it doesn't strictly sort of beat a lot in this meta. And by a lot, I mean much at all. So it's an interesting one, though. It's going to be useful for sure. Something to keep in mind. If we look towards the sort of fighting group in the bottom left, we obviously have the counter users with Vigoroth, Obstagoon, and Blaziken. These guys are going to be tearing through the Miltanks, the Abomasnows, Galarian Stunfisk. Blaziken has to be a bit scared. Blaziken also has to be scared of Abomasnow, weirdly, just because Blaziken's so squishy. Like, it cannot take a lot of damage, so Abomasnow able to get those Powder Snows off pretty quick, especially Shadow Abomasnow. The Weather Balls are really going to hurt, so it's something to be wary of. Swampert is an interesting one. I think that it does have a lot of play, probably in this meta with Sludge Wave as opposed to Earthquake, just because Sludge Wave, you might be able to land it on that Abomasnow and do some really nice damage there. I mean, also some other picks that are in this graphic, like Jumpluff and Tropius. You can land the Sludge Wave on them and maybe sort of swing the tide a little bit there. I think that their usage is a little bit dependent on how common Abomasnow is and how common Swampert is. So if there's way too, like if every team's got Abomasnow, you are not running a grass flying type double weak to it. But if every team's got a Swampert on it, then you might be thinking about, oh, I really do want grass damage on my team, and or maybe like double grass with Abomasnow or something like that. So something to think about, something to keep in mind as well. And Victini, just that really interesting Pokemon with access to V-Create, obviously just demolishes an Abomasnow, like, you know, blink and you'll miss it. If you are able to land it, Shields can obviously change that, and Victini gets sort of a lot of pressure back from Abomasnow. Not super effective, just essentially consistent damage. Galarian Stunfisk also does not love the V-Creates. Miltank just sort of doesn't have a lot to do there, but Rollout, super effective. So, you know, is what it is, and the Body Slams add up as well. I think that Vigoroth is obviously the sort of meta definer in a lot of ways, just because it is that safe swap. You get a little bit of energy, or even as a lead. Like, I feel like when the meta first releases a Vigoroth meta, everyone uses it as a safe swap, and then people are running a lot of things that are weak to Vigoroth in the lead, so people move Vigoroth to the lead, and that's sort of just how things seem to go, in my experience at least. But it's going to be everywhere. You're really going to have to be aware of it, and there isn't really anything to hard counter it, and that's just the nature of Vigoroth. Ideally, you would have a fighting type that has bulk. We don't have that here. So Vigoroth is sort of just it, and your main Vigoroth counter is going to be Vigoroth. And that's sort of the meta in a nutshell. It's not a simple, you know, just build these three and they beat these counters like this. It's going to be very dynamic. I think that's the word I was looking for earlier. It's a dynamic meta where it's going to be very dependent on where you are in the game state. And I think that really skilled trainers will get a lot of success, a lot more than sort of trainers who do not have that much skill. But with that said, that is my Sunshine Cup Meta Simplified infographic. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially that subscribe one for future Meta Simplifieds as well. And of course, thank you to my patrons and YouTube members as well. But regardless, I will see you in the next one, whatever it may be. And